Hello, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and we're answering publicly posted questions on abo.com. And here we go. Here's our question. Can I resign after family medical leave? Will I be retaliated against? So, let's go into the body of the question. I have been on FMLA and disability leave for health reasons. Although this particular leave was for a surgery, I was already suffering from major depression due to unfair work stress and discriminatory behavior at work from my manager and my peers, among others. I have been taking antidepressant medication too. During this leave, I felt my anxiety subside and feel I'm in a much better place mentally. That's amazing. Congratulations. That can't be easy. However, the thought of returning to work makes me anxious since I was treated poorly there. Now, I have decided to focus on school for a career change. I want to tender my resignation once I report back to work. Will I be retaliated against for this move? Will I be eligible for unemployment benefits? Okay. So, first off, you mentioned that you've been targeted for discrimination. Can't stress enough. I think you should speak to an employment attorney about that. That is a potential claim. It sounds like you have a lot of emotional damage going on. If you're getting better from your depressive and anxiety disability, maybe only depression, maybe I added anxiety, I apologize for that. Oh no, you did mention anxiety. If you feel that you're just getting better from major depression and anxiety conditions because you're not in the workplace, what I'm hearing is you might have serious emotional damages, right? That could be a sizable claim. So I would recommend speaking to an experienced employment attorney. Schedule a free consultation. Don't pay anybody. If they're trying to charge you for a consultation, makes me nervous because your case is an opportunity for us. When we win you money, we keep a percentage, right? So why are they trying to charge you to hear about the case? I don't know about that one. Okay. We'll set that aside. Next thing we can talk about. You're out on disability leave. I don't know what the terms of your disability leave are. I don't know how disability leave works in your state, and I can't advise you about that. I can advise you about FMLA. I can advise you about getting the accommodations you need. I can advise you about discrimination in the workplace, but I'm not going to be the best person to advise you about disability. I don't handle disability on the federal level or with a private company. I handle disability accommodations, but not disability benefits. Generally, those are specific attorneys who handle disability benefits. Sometimes workers' compensation attorneys handle it. Sometimes Social Security disability attorneys handle it. And I would speak to one of them about those questions. Now, in terms of resigning after FMLA, no harm, no foul. That's your right. There's no duty to remain at work, and it's actually quite common. People stay out during their FMLA, and then they realize when the FMLA runs out, it's just not going to work. The accommodations are not going to be what they need. They're not going to be able to get back on the job. They're not going to be able to perform like they once did. That's an unfortunate fact that often comes into play when you have a disability, right? It's easy day one of FMLA to think, 12 weeks from now, I'll be good to go, right? It doesn't always happen. And when it doesn't happen, there's nothing in place that says you got to keep working here or else, right? Anything that says you have to keep working, getting close to slavery with that, right? I mean, that's obviously I'm being facetious. It's more indentured servitude, you being contractually required to stay. It's not you being owned, but it's not going to be something that the American legal system is going to be thrilled with. You being forced to stay at a job. Now, certainly there's exceptions to that rule. There's liquidated damages for contracts that, they might need you to stay at a job for a year and you have to pay back some money if you don't stay for a year. There's stuff like that. But here, generally with the FMLA, you're not going to be dealing with anything like that. Unless you have a contract, in which case you'd have a local employment attorney review your contract. Last thing I'll mention. And you have one more question that I didn't answer yet. Let's answer your question first. What do you care what I want to tell you? Let's tell you what you want to know, right? Okay. Your question is, will I be eligible for unemployment benefits? Maybe not. It depends. It depends on the laws of your particular unemployment agency in your state. But if you're just deciding, I want to go back to school, I don't want to work anymore, unemployment's not necessarily going to take into account how bad your job was. Right? And you could make a constructive termination argument. You could say, listen, this job was untenable, couldn't go back to it, it was too horrible, there's no reason that I should be forced to work here. And I could see an administrative law judge or an investigator for an unemployment agency agreeing with you. I think that's possible. Generally, though, it's important to remember those people largely exist to keep citizens, to keep employees from getting benefits, right? Especially now, where every unemployment agency in the nation is very overburdened. Their main goal is to disqualify people. So making that kind of complex argument for constructive termination, if that exists in your state, that's an uphill battle. I'm not sure that's going to work out for you. It might. Don't be discouraged. It's worth a shot. It's worth applying, I would think, as long as you're honest. But it's a risk. It's a risk. I want to tell you it's a sure thing. Last thing I'll note here. Okay, so you got this discrimination claim. Could be valuable. You also have a disability where you could be accommodated. You could go to your doctor and say, hey, doc, what kind of accommodations do I need? What kind of accommodations would help me successfully do my job without ruining my life and let me move forward in this career? You may want that, you may not. If you don't want that, not valuable. If you do want that, it's definitely a worthwhile conversation to have with your doctor. And your doctor could put together a reasonable accommodation letter saying what you need. And you can go to your employer and you can say, hey, these are the reasonable accommodations I need. Give them to me. And they are going to owe you two things. One, they're going to owe you a reasonable accommodation dialogue, right? They have to go back and forth with you about what is, in terms of these accommodations, reasonable, which of them they can do reasonably and which of them they can't, and why. The second part is, any of the accommodations that are reasonable, they then have a duty to give to you. And that might mean that you could find a way to do this job in a happy, healthy, successful manner with your disability. Now, I don't know that you're going to be too interested in that because it sounds like this job is, one, pretty hateful and discriminatory, so you probably don't want to go back. Two, such a detriment to your quality of life that even with accommodations, you might be leery of going back. I get it. I'm not telling you to go back. I think it's great that you're investing in yourself. You're going to school. You're going to do all these things for yourself. I'm just trying to present all the options. I hope this was helpful. If it was, consider liking and subscribing down below. It helps me to help more people just like you. I'm really glad you're feeling better. I know it's hard. Good luck.